let's take an extreme example, China. You work a full year and you haven't earned enough money to buy a square meter of a house.
Assuming that, and that's one problem, that prices will always go up. I can tell you an example where they don't go up.
Okay.
They go down.
The rents?
It's called Detroit in the United States.
Most houses now on those areas are Airbnbs.
If you've got a chair, sit down. I got some stuff to say here.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Margin Bank Podcast. I'm Hugo Sanches, and I'm here with Daniel Melo. Hello, Daniel.
Hello.
And
how are you?
I'm fine. You?
Olá, from Portugal.
And Diogo Semedo. Hi.
What's up? How was your Halloween?
Yeah, it was nice. And yours?
Creepy. No, it was normal. It was a normal Halloween. I wanted to see Ghostbusters, so I saw Ghostbusters 2 with Carolina, and it was great. I miss movies made in the 80s. The latest version of Ghostbusters I didn't like at all. But the previous one, the Ghostbusters 2, it was amazing. The special effects for that time, they were really advanced. I mean, seeing today, it looks a bit like, it's obviously fake. But thinking that the computers at that time were really bad, and most special effects were practical special effects, it was really interesting to see all that action, and especially the Liberty Statue walking. It was quite a feat for that time.
Yeah, you shared an image of the Statue of Liberty with me, but I didn't understand why. Now I'm understanding.
Me neither.
It was because you watched Ghostbusters. Okay, it makes much sense now. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, moving on from movies, what are the topics for today? Because I do see that we have a major topic, real estate, right?
Yeah, real estate is the major topic today. It's a vast theme that we must talk about further in other episodes, and special cases in real estate will be further explored in other episodes. But today we want to say some basic things about the current state of housing in the world, and some special treats and special information that we can give you about the current state of the market worldwide.
Yeah.
And with a special focus also in Portugal.
Yeah, and several other countries. We did some research on China, of course, because of the Evergrande scandal that everyone should know about. Another countries where it spread the bubble, like South Korea, and we're looking a bit
similar to what happened in the States in the previous crash, and 2008 crash. And today we see a market that, well, the market seems like a big bubble everywhere, but real estate seems to be a mini bubble.
Yeah.
But is it really? And that's something that we are going to talk today. And many of us want to buy or hope to buy in the near term or in the future house. And this is a very sensitive topic because it's very personal. Real estate for personal housing is a very personal topic. Most of us want, especially here in Portugal, culturally, we are induced to want a home that we can own, that you can say, this land is mine, this house is mine, this apartment is mine, and I do not have to rent, I do not have to pay somebody else to be allowed to be here.
Yeah.
And most of you don't know, but in Portugal, most of the rents, the majority of the rents were controlled. The price was fixed, and that was a problem that we somewhat didn't change until late in our new democracy. That allowed many rentiers to own basically those houses by paying a small rent monthly. That at the beginning was not a problem, but due to inflation we are talking about decades, the initial rent that was about, I don't know, 10 euros per month stayed that way until
You still have those cases in Portugal, because there's a law that states that if you're renting your house to an elder person, meaning more than, I don't know if it's 65 or 80 years, something like that, you cannot change his rent. You can only increase it by the inflation of the year. So most rents that weren't updated until today or until a couple of years ago are still very low, which causes a great problem, at least for the landowners that want to have more profits and cannot do anything about it.
It caused the market distortion, especially in the city centers.
Mm-hmm.
That's why currently you don't see it. But if you visit Oporto 10 years ago, 15 years ago, most houses in Ribeira and downtown were falling apart. Most didn't even have a roof. And you looked at that like, oh, this is prime real estate. You're looking at the river, you're in an UNESCO protected site, you have access to the subway, to most transportations. It's not far from the highway. I mean, why is it all crumbling? And the major issue was that since the renting market was totally state controlled and rules that didn't favor investment, the houses ended up collapsing.
Yeah.
And now that was a special case that happened years ago, and now Hugo and Diogo, things are different, aren't they?
Yeah, because most houses now on those areas, at least in here, are Airbnbs. At least that's what I see, right? Because I remember a couple of years ago seeing this major house in a premium area of Porto, and it was falling apart, and all of a sudden it appears something like prepare yourselves, a big investment is coming. And then I searched the company that was on the banner, and it was an Israeli company, and it transformed the house. It was all made from scratch, and now it's an Airbnb. It's kind of several Airbnbs inside, and those people want to see their money, the money that they invested recovering the house, paid back to them. So since Porto is a very nice touristical place for people to come and visit, most people that invested money in houses, since they weren't allowed to charge whatever they wanted for them, they decided to rent them to tourists. At least that's what I think.
Yeah, and that's a very special case of an effect that was unexpected of Airbnb. Like you first think, well, it's going to change the market in the USA. It's going to allow for cheaper one-night stays at big cities like San Francisco and New York and blah, blah, blah. And then that same company has a huge effect at the other side of the Atlantic, and that changes a city completely. And I can say that, well, at least in our investment group in WhatsApp, somebody told that they recently sold a house in the city center, with no rooms, just a studio, like 15 square meters, for 250K.
Yeah.
Which is a lot. Like, you might not be aware of the price.
In Portugal, it's
but
crazy.
Here in Portugal, it's crazy. You can buy.
Yeah, maybe you can state
buy
our average salary, our national average salary, which is something around 1,100 euros per month. So 250K. It's a lot of work here in Portugal.
Yeah, it's really a lot.
For no rooms.
For no rooms. You could buy that a few years ago near Porto, like a individual house with 4 rooms, a garage, and probably a small garden, and it wouldn't cost 250K. And now the prices are rising way. Maybe with a pool, yeah. But now, currently, the prices are raising way above our paychecks.
Yeah. But still, it's not very tragic here in Portugal. At least that's what I think. Because there are lots of worse places to buy a house. And as you said, it's a cultural thing. So most houses are inherited by our parents and our grandparents. And people just sell them and buy new ones or remodel the ones that they have. But I read somewhere that in Germany, people don't usually buy houses. They much more rent houses. They don't have that cultural thing of owning a house. They don't really care. So that's why the housing market being overpriced right now isn't affecting them the way that is affecting us here in Portugal, because people just don't care. They don't want to buy houses. They just want to rent them.
But recently, and everybody heard that in the news, that Berlin passed somewhat controversial law that stated that, at least what I read, a percentage of the houses available and owned by big institutions like BlackRock, etc., that have those real estate investment trusts and those ETFs associated with those real estate investments, they should have a percentage allocated for a fixed rent. So they couldn't raise the price, at least for a couple of years, so they could provide accessible renting options in Berlin. Berlin is a very special case that we are going to talk about in the future.
It's not the most expensive of Germany. From what I've seen, Munich is almost the double of the square meter price than Berlin, which is crazy.
Yeah, but we have to place in the context that East Germany kind of still lingers in Germany. I mean, the salaries, the economy, the factories, they are not in East Germany at all. Currently, East Germany is like economically more similar to Portugal than to the rest of Germany.
Bad for those of you that are not European.
Yeah, it's an insult. For those who are not European, this is an insult to East Germany, because it's again.
We just lost all the listeners from East Germany with that sentence.
No, you shouldn't, because it's interesting to understand this difference. And it's interesting to understand that after all these years, there were people that were born in East Germany And then there were people that were born in the unified Germany in Berlin and around Berlin, Leipzig, etc. And they still have and still suffer from the consequences of the Germany division and the communist part in East Germany. That effect, that cultural effect, and that economical effect still exists, which is interesting. I mean, if it disappeared immediately, you could almost say, well, maybe it's the institutions. You apply the institutions, you apply rules, and the country changes. Or maybe if you wait like 10 years, 15 years, things change. The labor market changes, new people appear in the market, and those are more educated, so they can bring and start their own companies, blah, blah. It didn't happen.
That's a bit what's happening in Porto, actually. You're starting to get a lot of foreigners that live here and create their small businesses here. And that was all started by the renovation of the downtown, right? It was before it was before the Airbnb invasion, if we can say so. So that whole area, which was just basically rotten houses and unfortunately drug addicts, it was all abandoned. So to a point, it was tourism itself that allowed for downtown to grow. And now, to attract the tourists, the growth attracted tourists because, as we've all seen, there's a lot of international events like small fairs. There was none of that. It was inexistent. So to a point, the thing is, I think we didn't adapt to that change as well. We weren't ready to have all those tourists coming in and some of them staying and settling their businesses. And it's the same. It's like we were used to being Portuguese, and now we are starting to be a city of the world. Lisbon passed this phase 10 years ago. I'm not sure if you can
a bit early.
Yeah, a bit early. So the thing is, especially for us, we are still at that changing from East Berlin to Western Berlin. So it is still taking time, and I don't think we are being able to adapt that well to the situation. So
especially in real estate, due to the lack of new construction, and that can somewhat describe and justify the price increase that we have seen. We are also this rise in prices can also be explained by the fact that most new houses that are being built are also high-end to middle-class high-end type of housing. And that can be explained due to, one, our taxes that are really heavy. So you tax the materials, you tax the construction, you tax the sale, and etc. And all these steps, you add like a 50 to 40% increase in price. So to be profitable, most companies only build these types of housing. These types of housing that are not accessible to most workers in a large city like Porto. So they seek other types of cities in the periphery where the same type of housing is a little bit cheaper, but still it's the same type of housing.
Yeah, but I don't think in Portugal we're that bad. I really don't think.
No, not yet. Not yet,
nor never. Because if you see, okay, let's take an extreme example, China. A square meter in China, on average, it's around, I have the data right here, it's around 180,000 won per square meter. The average annually salary of a worker in China, it's 97,001 annually. So you work a full year and you haven't earned enough money to buy a square meter of a house. This is crazy because here in Portugal, houses in premium areas are like what in Porto? Maybe 2,500 euros per square meter. And that's 2 times our average salary. So in 2 months, you win enough to buy a square meter. No, you don't take a full year. This is crazy. This is just insane. And they still are able to live in China. So you understand that there's always a way. If banks give you credit or individuals, because in China and in Asia there's much of this thing. Everyone lends money to everyone because they need to buy a house, right? So if the bank doesn't give you, you will ask your friends, your family, everyone you can. Maybe sometimes with high interests, very high interests. But yeah, if you want to buy a house, you will have to do it. Otherwise, you just rent it. That's why they.
But we are not as many. The populational density is not the same. So to a point,
you're thinking in some parts of China because most of China is empty.
Yeah, China is empty.
Yeah, they live in the coastal areas.
Yeah, and there are lots of empty apartments. Centers. I read in New York Times, I think, or Financial Times, one of those, that China has enough empty apartments built for the that could fit in the population of the Canada, Italy, France, and
Germany,
the UK. I think it was the UK. So that's crazy. All these countries could live inside China, and it's already built.
Yeah, in all these empty apartments.
Yeah. So
and the story they have with Evergrande also represents the other side of the bubble. These real estate developers that basically, with the help of the local municipalities, started building. And in a way, it was a form of municipal financing.
Yeah.
And so they promoted this, and in the hope that to attract new residents.
But they were also monopolists, weren't they?
Yeah, they were also monopolists.
So they could just rig the price. I don't know, Diogo. I don't know if you have our Excel in there, because I don't have pictures with me, but I had a picture there about the bubble of China.
The percentage that's increased.
Just tell how much just tell how much the housing prices went up in China and the period of time.
So let's say in the period of 15 years, there was let's say, oh my God, this is huge. 698% rise in the Shanghai real estate price index.
Yeah, this is crazy. It's almost 7 times as much in how much? 50 years?
15 years.
15
from 2001 to 2017.
Yeah, this is crazy. So if this isn't the definition of a bubble in China, I don't know what is it. And thankfully, we're very far from that reality in Portugal.
Yeah, we are.
And none of the countries.
I still maintain my question. We are not the population density is not the same. So we can't go to these numbers, but probably if we were that many, we could probably go to those numbers.
I don't agree with that, because I do think that the government would pass some law to prevent that. I don't agree. I don't say I'm agreeing that we should just pass laws to rig the markets. I don't agree with that. But in Portugal,
we
the
could
situation
do
wouldn't be like this.
Singapore.
Yeah, South Korea.
In Singapore, all
I don't know if you saw what I sent you for this episode.
Yeah, in South Korea,
the minister and the minister of finance and the prime minister apologized in parliament because they were unable to keep the rent prices, the selling house prices to go up this year. They went up like 12%, which was the biggest increase in South Korea housing prices. But they just didn't intervene in the market because the free market somehow will reach its own equilibrium. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's one possibility.
Because people won't
And,
buy houses forever,
that's-
right? Unless population keeps increasing and the salaries keep going up, but people won't buy houses forever, at least with higher and higher prices. So at some point the prices will just stop rising and will start maybe decreasing a little bit because
Well,
it depends. The houses are an asset, a different kind of asset, because I can just live in my house and don't sell it. If nobody gives me the price I want, I can just live here instead of moving to a better house.
yeah, and the only thing is that the house probably will rise in price, and the only way for you to earn money with that house, you could, put debt against your house. You could co-rent your house, like you live in a part or you rent part of your house, or you can sell it. And by selling your house and downsize to another house, you can then invest the rest of the money that you earn.
Well, but there's taxes.
And that's a way. And there's what?
There's taxes. If you sell it with profit,
no,
there are
you
taxes.
pay every profit. Yeah,
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I choose to live in a better house instead of downsizing my house to another one, which is worse, and then just have this small amount of money because everything else went to the government.
Yeah, but imagine that you are
It's like
old
losing
now.
money.
Your kids are outside already. They don't live with you. They have their own lives. They have their own houses, and maybe you don't need a
So
large
many
house.
beds. Yeah.
Yeah,
I do understand that.
That's a
Well,
decision
if
that
it were up to me,
individually you can do.
If it was me in that situation you just described, I would probably do this.
Yeah.
I would rent the house because the house is still mine and I can rent it for whatever price. And then with the money that I'm earning from there, I would rent a smaller house. Because the taxes, the taxes aren't the same for money from rents and for profits over selling houses. So probably, if you have lots of bedrooms, the rent would be higher. Imagine that you described a 4-bedroom apartment or house, whatever. You can easily rent that to another family and then just go move with your wife to a 2-bedroom apartment or something like that. And you're
that's
still
another
making a profit
possibility
every
without-
month.
Yeah, that's true.
And the house is still
That's
yours,
another way,
and
yeah.
someday it will be your kids, and you're just not giving away their. I'm not remembering the word from when you pass heritage. Yeah,
heritage,
You're not just
yeah.
giving it away to the government. You're just keeping it and making it profitable.
But you are assuming that, and that's one problem, that the prices will always go up.
It doesn't really matter.
I can tell you an example where they don't go up.
Okay,
They go down.
the rents.
It's called Detroit in the United States.
Okay, so Detroit listeners
They
just
went-
shut down the podcast now.
Yeah, no, but this is a very good example because the prices went down to the point that it was more profitable to destroy the house than to keep it.
That's crazy.
Entire neighborhoods were razed to the ground because they were not profitable. The houses were essentially worth near zero, and due to foreclosures and etc., people couldn't pay their loans, and the initial loan was for a price that the house will never get back to. So prices don't always go up. That's one thing. It's a market that's very special, and because it's very special, sometimes the market dynamics that we are kind of used to, not now, the market is weird, Tesla, etc. Things are weird. But normally, if like a company like IBM, for example, starts losing money, doesn't really make profitable investments, research is good, but they don't show so much promise, the price of the stock reflects that. The market says, well, I'm not betting on you, and I don't want you. And some people start to sell, and the price goes down. And that effect.
In last case, you can always sell your house as an NFT.
That's a very good example.
Do you know Decentraland? Decentraland is an online game. It's a city where you can buy houses and terrains, and they are really pricey. I checked some in a more or less premium area the other day, and prices were like $100,000 per terrain, which is very expensive. It's almost real prices. But they already have their own economy over there, and prices keep rising. And now they're developing. Like a week ago, there's this center for shows, and deadmau5 played there virtually. But live, and Paris Hilton was also there. So they're trying to bring more people, to attract more people to this virtual city by promoting certain cultural events, which is very nice. But I don't think prices will keep rising. Yeah.
Do you guys remember Second Life?
I do remember that.
Yeah, Second Life was really early in this thing that you are seeing now. It was a virtual world with a virtual currency, which you could buy virtual things built by virtual companies that people worked in, and they traded things. They bought real estate. They used the virtual currency similar to, well, not similar. It was not really a Bitcoin, but
it wasn't
digital
crypto.
currency.
It wasn't crypto yet.
It wasn't crypto, but it was a digital currency, and you could buy digital things, digital art, digital real estate.
We have a common friend that he used to earn money by DJing at parties in Second Life.
Oh, that's amazing! Yeah.
And
is he DJing at Decentraland now?
Sorry, I don't think so.
Is he DJing at Decentraland?
No, I don't think so.
Maybe he should.
The thing is, he told me that he could actually take a really decent amount of money. He just had to go through the tokens to the central and then export the money to a bank account. He lost some money, but he said that he could almost make a living out of it. So
that's very nice. Isn't what Zuckerberg is trying to do right now with Metaverse?
It's the same thing. He's just copying.
But I do think that Zuckerberg has more users than Decentraland. Yeah. So I'm curious to see, to check on the prices regularly, so to see if Decentraland will keep up with it. I'm really curious.
You can see an example, although it's not real estate, but it's the example of what real estate can be. it's not at all real estate what I'm going to say.
Okay.
Do not judge me. But
We won't.
it's to explain why Decentraland and Second Life, which might sound a bit absurd. Not now. Currently, it's sounding less and less absurd. But you know those ads that you see on your web pages and the ads that you see on YouTube?
Yeah.
Well, those spots, they have a price that's calculated on a small algorithm that runs by Google that
Or by Facebook.
Sorts bids, or by Facebook, that sorts bids, and the highest bidder gets the spot. That spot acts a little bit like a real estate. It's like a place that a company uses to sell you a product. It's a spot. It's a representation of a place. It's not like real estate, but it kind of acts like a real estate. You know, not in the sense of housing.
Yeah, I do understand. It's kind of a sense of housing because you're hosting the ad.
Yeah.
Or you're renting the space to that particular ad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something
exactly.
like that. Yeah.
It acts
I'm understanding what you're
like
saying.
real estate.
Yeah.
But it's digital. And that's something that in the beginning it was weird, but now we are seeing more and more of that. Like it's a spot that's
But
real,
it's a better spot
but digital.
because in a physical spot you can only build one house or one apartment or one everything, and you can only rent it or sell it to one person. But if you imagine our video on YouTube, for instance, if it has an ad, that ad will be different for every person watching us, or at least that space, that same space, will have multiple ads depending on who's watching us or where they are watching us from. So it's a better use of space.
I'm thinking about metaverse of Facebook, and you know that video was creepy. It's really weird. But thinking a little bit further, what the hell is he thinking? You know?
Yeah.
What the hell is he thinking? And then you think, well, let's think a little bit like, you know, a bit insane. And have you seen the movie Ready Player One?
Yeah, it's the same thing. I actually thought about it when I seen the presentation of Meta.
Imagine there are things that we are not able to make cheaper. We can make things that are digital very, very cheap. Music, this video that you are seeing, this talk that we are having online through the internet. It's free. I'm not paying for this. At least directly. I'm paying with my data. But it's mostly free. And these things that are digital can be infinitely replicated, and they are theoretically infinite. Theoretically, because if you have seen or have you read the Asimov, The Last Question, you understand that it's not infinite. But going back to metaverse, I think he is betting that our salaries are not going to grow, and there will be a limit to what we can actually buy if we continue with this progressive destruction of our currency. So the only things that we are going to buy will be mostly digital. There are things that we can't yet make digital, such as housing. But if we can have a place that is digital and it can be infinite, then people can have a place of their own in this metaverse where they can meet friends or work or etc. And it will be digital. And I think he's trying to build a second life that actually is used by the majority of the population.
But do you think that the majority of the population will just enter this metaverse?
I don't think so.
I don't think so
I think he's
either.
really betting that the eyeglasses that are like enhanced and you have augmented reality, etc., will be very, very good and people will want to. But outside very specific work environments, I don't think people will want that. I might be wrong.
Won't it take a few years from now? Because I don't know if you've seen the Michio Kaku. Well, the way he explains it is really simple. Our evolution will make us upload into a certain point of time into a machine. And now we are just starting to get some functions. We just became cyborgs because we have our mobile phones, and by definition, a cyborg is someone that has a function in end. So we don't have a library inside our head, but with a phone, we can get all the information we want. So my question is, isn't he probably preparing for some kind of connection with the Neuralink technology in some point in the future?
Yeah, well, that's
right?
That's another point. That's another step, another level, and I think that's a good point. And I think, that's a great point, because imagine that I can really connect to the machine, and that proves to be an advantage to me. I get really in a better position than other people, a competitive advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Then people will want that, at least in a work environment. Mm-hmm. And then that can be, if people use it for work and it's really ingrained in us, it will start to be used by larger and larger amounts of population. It will be a very specific niche first, and then it will expand as soon as people realize it has a use that is advantage. and
I'm laughing because I'm thinking of what Diogo just said, and I was just thinking, what if this metaverse becomes like Rick and Morty, a tiny verse,
Oh, yeah.
But where we ourselves can just go inside, work in there, have houses in there, and we don't really need our physical body. We can just live in there.
It's the same thing I'm telling you, because it's the theory that Michio Kaku explained on his book. The thing is, our evolution, probably quoting someone else, I don't want to be unfair, but our evolution we'll update our minds to somewhere else because we'll be able to live eternally. And that's why I think that he's preparing for us to upload somewhere.
I don't know if eternally.
In that somewhere, and that meta can be the simulation where we can all live.
I don't know if eternally, because Facebook and WhatsApp and Instagram are always crashing. Yeah. So imagine your conscience living in a place that could crash and everyone just dies. All of a sudden, everyone is dead.
Or you just restore to let's say 1500 years ago or something.
Yeah.
I forgot all of
But will that be possible? Will that be possible? I don't know how you will translate our consciousness to a computer simulation, but
that's
I don't know if I would want to live in a place.
It's electricity. Our neurons are electricity.
I do understand, but I don't know if I would want to live in there, because who takes care of the servers that are here in the physical realm? Is it Zuckerberg? I don't trust
it's
Zuckerberg.
Probably machines. Yeah. All the maintenance work is done by machines. Like, the thing he was proposing was that, imagine that you were so far in the future that you would design your own simulation where you would be sent into space to depend on nothing but energy from the stars, considering we are still a civilization type 1.
Yeah, but
Yeah. So this is
What if life it's already
just live on the sun.
that you're
so
describing?
this is completely this is pure speculation, but
What if we're
for me it's really amusing and it makes some
Yeah.
sense
it
at the end of
makes-
the day. So
well,
But what if this life is already
Yeah,
that?
El-
What
Elon
if
Musk really
we were
believes
so
in that.
advanced
Yeah.
that we just
we are in a
inputted
simulation.
ourselves in this universe during this period?
you
We
will
had this
just
discussion the
short
other day.
circuit the universe when you just discover that you can upload yourself into yourself.
but
And you will
Hugo is
just-
saying something really interesting. It's a thought
Yeah.
experiment.
Yeah.
Think about this. What if you
What
uploaded
if we were so
yourself
advanced that just for
to a
fun,
simulation
yeah, we
of
just
this
uploaded
world?
ourselves.
Yeah.
Imagine yourself, you're thinking, you're hearing this right now, you're probably in the street, your metro, subway, driving, whatever. And imagine that you chose to be here. You don't know because you yourself decided to not know.
Lots of people believe that. Spiritual people believe that you chose to be here
Yeah.
now, and that you had all this information,
That's a bit of the
and this is
Buddhist
just
theory of
some sort of
reincarnation.
simulation.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
another
That would explain
type
that.
of spirituality, religion thing.
But it's
But
interesting.
it's an
I do
interesting
like
thought experiment.
thinking of that the time in control somehow.
Yeah, that would be
So
good.
somehow in another realm, I'm in control. You know,
Yeah,
and the creator would be ourselves, which is amazing.
that
It's
and
what
worrisome at
kind
the
of the
same
Bible
time.
says, isn't it?
And it's kind of worrisome. Like,
There's some programmer to whom people call God.
but then it's
But it all makes
the
sense.
ancient problem of turtles. And I do not know the philosopher that first asked this question, but somebody asked him, well, how is the Earth? And he said, well, the Earth is round and it floats in space. And they said, well, it floats in space, it's not possible. Well, you know, it's being held by a turtle. Oh, so the Earth is sustained in space by a turtle? And what holds the turtle? And then he says, well, another turtle. And it's what? Well, two turtles, and what's holding the other turtle? Well, it's turtles all the way down. You know, he said that it's infinite turtles. So it's an interesting problem because oh no, it's not a creator. You are the creator. Well, good. Who the fuck created me? You know?
No, but you won't ever find out that answer because let's imagine the thing of the metaverse. If we can plug ourselves into the metaverse and there's no connection and no memory between our character in the metaverse and ourselves in the physical realm, that our character will never know who created ourselves in the physical realm because it doesn't know that we exist.
True.
Do you see my point? So it doesn't; those questions don't matter.
Well, they do because
It only matter.
we are asking them now.
I don't think if it matters, because this could be a loop, a great loop. Because who created us? Maybe it was ourselves in another universe, and who created them? And we're just hundreds and thousands of tiny verses within one another.
Well,
And you just want to find out the major creator, something like that. Well,
let me just
will
say
exist,
this. I
but-
just found the world turtle theory on Wikipedia, and so
Okay.
it's a myth theme of a giant turtle supporting for or containing the world. It occurs in Indo mythology, Chinese
Chinese.
mythology, and the mythologies of the indigenous people of the Americas.
so what? So many
All
people believe it's
all through
turtles
the
all the way
world.
down?
Yeah,
Not only the Greeks
It's
and
turtles all the way down, yeah.
Chinese and the indigenous peoples.
yeah.
Well,
and
this
also
is
there's
people
a
from all
picture on the
over the
website.
world.
Yeah. The thing is
That's
that
very
there's the turtle on the picture that they're showing. the picture has the turtle and then elephants on top, and then the earth.
Oh, the elephants make the difference. Yeah, it's for stability.
Yeah.
Well, we really diverge from the main theme that we are going to speak about.
The real estate.
Yeah, real estate in the future. And we have very special cases.
Yeah, but our episodes are a bit like that. You have one topic and then
we go...
That's why in our description it says investments, philosophy,
books,
history.
also books.
A bit of this, a bit of that.
But it's a very interesting question.
So do you want to give a sneak peek of next episode? What will the topic be?
Why greatness cannot be explained.
Okay, that's a book for those of you that don't know, because this just came out of nowhere.
If you can read
and we're reviewing it.
And it's a very...
Would you like to make a small synopsis
Imagine
of the book?
like this. We currently are talking about uploading ourselves to a new universe, a new digital universe, right? It's a very interesting way of achieving immortality, right? Can all agree that. How can we do that? Most people will think, well, we set an objective, like Elon Musk is wanting to go to Mars, so we are also wanting to go digitally. So we set an objective. We must build probably a huge server, probably study the brain a little bit more, improve the brain-machine connections, and try to digitalize our neural currents, and then simulate those neural currents, try to merge them, and probably be uploaded. That's a set of objectives that we can think about to create these universes, right? The problem is those objectives will not lead us to uploading our minds, and this book explains why. We might think that we can achieve great things by setting an objective. I want to go to Mars. Good. But the necessary steps to achieve that are not obvious. They are mostly kind of random. And we pick them, we select them, we stumble upon them, we reach those stones step by step, and somebody will pick the other stones and they will follow other paths. And this natural selection that applies to our lives, to life and to the universe, also applies to discoveries, which explains why when you read about something really interesting, like the fact that our mRNA vaccines were a mixture of two important discoveries. Like we know mRNA, it was discovered in a certain way, but the bubbles that were used to transport that information to our cells was another completely different study that was not used in the first thought experiment of this discovery, was not intended to transport immediately a vaccine. So those steps led to the vaccine, but it was a little bit random. So
yeah, they were not an objective for someone.
And this book
nobody said I will mix this and that. Yeah. That's my objective to do this. No. It was just random, like somebody created that and that. Okay, let's try and mix these two methods.
Yeah, and this book also explains and applies to your lives. Like, you want to be a millionaire. Good. You set the objective. But probably the things that you are going to do to try to be a millionaire will not lead you to be a millionaire, which is amazing. You read this book and then you understand.
Especially if you fall into those pyramid schemes and forex schemes and multi-level marketing.
For example,
don't go there to be a millionaire,
it seems
please.
With little money, you can make a lot of money, so you just keep doing that and you'll be a millionaire. No, it doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't work like
that.
And the path is a bit different for everyone.
Yeah,
right?
The path is different for
everyone. There's not a magic formula to reach any goal, by the
No,
way.
because we are discovering the
Whether
stones.
it's to be a millionaire or to be the best in your area.
With each one of us is discovering different stones at different times. For example, Diogo is following another path. We crossed our paths temporarily in the same speciality. we were doing
You did.
anatomical pathology. We were together. And then he followed different steps. And I followed different steps. And you are following different
And
steps.
none of us
And we are doing
none
this
of us ever
together.
thought to have a podcast together. Yeah.
And it's
We just stumbled upon
we stumbled
it.
upon it. And that's the beauty of life. And this book explains it in such a clear way
I think it's enough.
that you're going to see in the next
You just
episode.
gave
Don't
away
spoil all
the
the
old book.
episode.
You just gave away
in
the
the
old
next
book.
episode. If you can read it, buy it, and then when you read next week with us the book,
But if you don't want to read it, just check our episode.
Yeah.
And we will give you
nice,
the full spectrum of the book.
The juice.
Yeah.
and maybe that's it for
those
today,
people
right?
that
I
are
mean,
in a hurry.
Yeah, that's it.
I do think it's
so
It's
to
a
wrap
wrap
up,
up.
So
follow us.
just follow us on our social media, Instagram Margin
Comment.
Bank, YouTube Margin Bank.
Comment.
Go comment on our videos. Just comment what you think of Diogo's picture for this video. He couldn't be present in video, so we had the most amazing picture of him. Tell us where you are listening or watching us. And any questions or doubts, just send to our email marginbank@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And
guys,
remember to
it
the
was a
bell
pleasure
thank
as
you,
always.
subscribing.
See you
See you next
week.
week. Happy turtles.
Bye.
Here to
Bye.
help the economy. It's going to take a full-scale attack. Drop the blockade. If you've got a chair, sit down. I got some stuff to say here.